welcome. We're glad to have Michael Center join us today. This is our Leader Exchange program for March 12th and our second one of our spring series this year. And Michael, we're super excited you joined us today. For those of you that don't know Michael Center, he was a top-level collegiate coach for over 20 years from Texas Christian University to the University of Texas. You may have been familiar with the Varsity Blues scandal that popped up 5 or 6 years ago. Michael was involved in that. A lot happened, lost his job, but he's coming back, and he's written a book called Breaking Serve, My Time in Championship Coach to My Time in Prison and My Journey Back. And his story is powerful, how you can persevere and work through difficult times. He's taken what he's learned and really encouraging and helping others get through difficult times. So, Michael, we're glad to have you here today. Welcome to Fort Worth, kind of an old haunt for you, kind of not old haunt, but old stomping ground for you a little bit, coming back to Fort Worth.
I had a great experience here in Fort Worth when I coached at TCU in 1998 till 2000. I met you back then, and I'm happy to be here. I'm spending a lot of time in Fort Worth right now, and it's been a good spot for me.
Good. Well, we're excited about having you here today. Let's kind of give the audience a little bit of background on you. You're not a native Texan. I believe you grew up in Kansas. Tell us a little bit about growing up. Rumor is you're maybe a multi-sport athlete before zeroing in on tennis.
Well, I wasn't you. I didn't play college football, but I played all the sports as a kid. My dad was a professor at Kansas State University, little town, Manhattan, Kansas. My mom was a school teacher and had a younger brother, and I just loved sports. I played all the sports. I played football, basketball, baseball. I zeroed in high school. I played high school basketball and tennis. Felt like I had a better opportunity to play collegiately in tennis.
Mm-hmm.
So I started to focus on my tennis near the end and ended up at the University of Kansas as a student athlete.
Tennis is an individual sport. It's all on you. You can't hand it off to someone else. But talk a little bit about the takeaways you learn as a collegiate athlete, just competing, what it takes to be a collegiate athlete that you can continue to apply throughout your life. What are some things you learn?
Well, I think I had a great experience because I had a phenomenal coach, a guy named Scott Perelman. Took me under his wing. I was pretty inexperienced when I went to the University of Kansas as a player. I hadn't competed a lot nationally, had never played internationally, obviously, and I just had a lot to learn. I was a decent athlete, but I had a lot to learn, and I went to work. And back then, the days there were no rules. You started the first day and you went to the last day, so no one was worried about how long you were practicing or how many matches you were playing. And so we would show up at 6 o'clock in the morning and go to work physically, and then we would practice. And it was a really bonding learning experience about dedication and determination and resilience and all of these key words that people talk about. But it really taught me how to get knocked down and get back up at an early age. And I owe a lot to my coach, and he's been a big part of my life ever since.
Yeah. Coaches have influences. I know I was influenced and still am by the things I learned from coaches I played for. So when did you know you wanted to get into coaching, and maybe what led you to make that decision to get into coaching?
Well, it's kind of an interesting story. I finished in 1986. I graduated, and actually I finished my playing career. I had one semester left in college, and my coach at the time was coaching both the men and the women, and he asked me to stay on while I was going to school and just help with the team a little bit. I would string the rackets, be around, maybe practice with them some, drive them to some events, and I finished my degree, and all of a sudden he says, "I need you to stay on and be my assistant coach in the spring," which I hadn't thought about at all. So I stayed on. I was the men's and women's assistant coach. I made $1,000 a month. One team would practice at 6 in the morning because we couldn't get courts indoors. The other team would practice at 10 o'clock at night. So I was working all day. And I enjoyed it, but I'm like, I don't think I want to be the assistant coach anymore. So I decided I want to go to graduate school, and I went to graduate school, got a master's in athletics administration, sports psychology, and was trying to get into athletics administration, and I was working in Ohio actually, and got a call from the same guy. They had now split the program. He said, "I want you to come back and be the women's tennis coach. And we're going to pay you $18,000 now for the entire year to be the
This
head
is what
coach."
year is this?
This is 1989.
Okay.
You're going to be the head coach. We're going to pay you $18,000. And I thought to myself, well, I'm struggling getting in to be the athletic director or in administration. This would be a good entry point for me. I'll go in, I'll coach the team, I'll get involved in intercollegiate athletics, which I loved, and this will take me on my path. And I got into it, and I really enjoyed it, and ended up doing it for about 30 years.
Maybe that first coach saw something in you a little bit, saying, "Michael, can you help with this team?" Thinking he probably saw something in you, some potential there. Who would you say have been the most influential coaches, mentors in your life? That you probably have several. But
Well, I have several. I mean, it has to start with my college coach. His name's Scott Perelman, and the irony of the whole thing is he is now one of the assistant coaches here at TCU. So we see each other all the time. We talk almost every day. It's pretty special bond that we have
yeah,
going back over
40
over
years.
40 years now.
Wow.
So for sure, he's number one. In my book, I met so many great coaches during the course of my career. A gentleman named Eddie Reese, who was a longtime
Mhm.
swimming coach at the University of Texas and won 14 or 15 national championships, was the Olympic coach numerous times. He was a great mentor of mine. We would talk all the time. When I needed some advice, I would go to his office and speak with him. Early on, I had an opportunity to meet Roy Williams, who was a famous basketball coach who he and I started at the University of Kansas almost at the exact same time. I think 1 year apart. He came in, I think, in '88, and I started in '89. And he was great to me. So I've been influenced by some fantastic coaches, but also terrific people throughout my life.
What are the things consistent in those men that have that impacted you? What were some things that you took away from?
Well, I think in writing this book and developing my theories on leadership, the one thing that I really feel is important for a leader is empathy. I really feel like the best coaches truly learn how to care about people, which helps you build relationships with people.
Yeah.
When you can build a good relationship with people, then you have a chance to lead them. Then you have a chance to hold them accountable.
Yeah.
And that's when you get the results and you get performance from people. But if you're not empathetic and you just want to just tell people what to do, I don't think you're going to build that bond, that
Yeah.
relationship that allows you to get the most out of
Yeah,
people.
you can push them harder. They know you genuinely care about them.
Right.
Well, you mentioned empathy. That's in your book. You have 5 pillars. I think you talk about the first of which is empathy. And you've mentioned why that's so important. Talk a little bit about the difference between empathy and sympathy and kind of what sticks out.
Well, I think when you go through something in my and when I, that, like I went through in my life, that everything got turned upside down in an instant. And the irony of this is we're talking today is March 12th,
Yeah, it's a big
and
day for
it's a
you.
big day for me. 7 years ago is when this happened to me, and so I'm a little emotional today. I wake up on March 12th and think about the things that happened. Um, and I'm sorry, I was thinking.
Well, no, but want to go ahead and just share a little bit about what that changed your life on March 12th.
That
Maybe just an overview of what happened that
Yeah, it
day so
flipped
people can
it flipped my
connect.
life upside down. I had to at that point. I thought I was a pretty good leader at that point. I thought that my teams were successful. We were winning. That particular year, we had a really good team. We'd been to Final Fours. We'd played for national
You're at the
championships.
University of
I'm at
Texas
the
at this
University of
time.
Texas, and we're ranked number 2 in the country, and we have a senior laden team, and we have two of the best players in the country at number 1 and 2, and I think we can win a national championship. So I feel pretty good. My life is going pretty well, and I got knocked down in a way that was unimaginable to me. Humiliated, embarrassed. A lot of things were done that were not necessary. I thought the University of Texas would support me. They did not. So I felt I hit the bottom, and I had to learn that day that if I was going to be a contributor to my family, to my friends, to myself, I had to become a better leader. I had to overcome
Yeah.
all the things that were happening to me. And so I took a long look in the mirror and I said, I better pick myself back up and I better improve my leadership skills, because if I can't lead myself, how am I going to help my boys who are getting ready to go to college? How can I help my wife, my mother, who I just lost my father. Um, my father was sick. He ended up passing away in January of 21. So there were a lot of people that were still counting on me,
Yeah.
and I couldn't even count on myself. So that day really changed my life, my perspective, and taught me a lot about what really a leader needs to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. Also in the book, Michael, you talk about standards versus goals, and I know there's a big difference but you really believe and talk about standards as opposed to goals with your players, with your teams.
Yeah.
I think when you're talking to groups now, tell us a little bit the difference and why standards versus
Well,
goals.
when I first started, when I was studying and learning, we would set these short term goals and we'd set these long term goals. Short term goals are supposed to be pretty achievable. Long term goals are something you would reach out for and try to get there. And I started to find that when I talked about goals all the time, it applied pressure to people. If I tell you, David, our goal is to win the conference championship or win the national championship, and that moment starts to come in your life, you feel a lot of anxiety to reach that goal.
Hmm.
And perhaps you actually reach that goal and you do win, then what? You see a lot of people just stop.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to stop. I wanted to keep going. So I said, you know what? Started telling the team my last 10 years or so of coaching, we're going to set standards. We're going to treat people well. We're going to treat our officials well. We're going to treat our teammates well. We're going to be respectful. We're going to play hard. We're going to be in great shape. We're going to be in better physical shape than anyone else. And that's our standard. And at the end of the year, if we win the national championship, it will happen.
Yeah.
It's not our goal. Our goal is to be good people who play hard and become great competitors. And I just stuck with that. I felt like it just released some of the
Yeah.
anxiety off our team. And it started to release some of the anxiety off myself, because I just had so many goals that I felt like I needed to achieve. And I feel like we started to play and compete at a very high level and a very consistent level that last decade.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Take some of the pressure off the team and you.
Yes,
These are the standards we're going to just strive to today, to live up to compete, to prepare, all that. I
exactly.
like that. Well, one of the core tenets, Michael, in Leader Exchange is just brotherhood. People, community, brotherhood, people that you go through life with, that you can reach out to and support you when tough things happen. And I know you had some people close to you that you really leaned on and that poured into you during this time. Talk a little bit about just the importance of close friends, a band of brothers, a band of believers that really helped you through the last 5 or 6
Yeah.
years.
Well, I'll use the word leadership again. I think that when crisis hits in people's lives, a lot of people will run away, avoid the situation. Um, they might say, and this goes back to the empathy versus sympathy, hey, anything I can do, just let me know. Then there was a group of people that said, no, we're coming to get you. We're coming through the front door.
Yeah.
We're coming to knock on your door, to call you every day, to help you, to talk you through these moments, to coach you. And well, you were one of them. You've been a great friend to me, but I had some really, really long-standing friends who just showed up
Yeah.
day in and day out, regardless if I couldn't even speak. Some days I was so distraught, I literally could not speak.
Some days you maybe didn't want to see them, but you needed them to
I
be
needed
there.
them. I
Yeah.
needed these people.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to do. I was lost. I was sitting in my closet with my dog sometimes, just in tears,
Mm.
afraid of what could happen to me and my family. And these guys would not let me go.
Yeah.
And that's what I think great friendship, and that's real empathy. And I owe a lot to this group of 4 or 5 guys that just wouldn't let me fall down.
Yeah. That's great. We talk about that, right? It's leaning in, and it's not just checking in, but it's
Right.
it's leaning in and engaging and pursuing people that are hurting. And I know that was important for you. Well, talk a little bit, Michael, about just how faith is what role faith has played in this journey as you've gone through some of the trials you've had. How's your faith played out?
Well, I think, my philosophy on faith is it allows you to believe in something that's bigger than you. And I think that's the strength that faith provides for people. When you can feel like whatever's going on with you, there's something that's larger, bigger, stronger out there that you can look up to. I think it's a comforting feeling.
Yeah.
And so I spent quite a bit of time with my rabbi, talking to him, um, believing in what he said to me. And it gave me a comfort to know that there's something bigger and stronger than me.
Yeah.
And I think that's where faith is so powerful.
I'm going to flip a little bit here. Faith, and I'm thinking family and friends. We've talked about faith and friends, but I know one of your boys, but one in particular, said something to you
Yeah.
early on that impacted you and gave you some strength. Share a little bit about what he said to you when early on, when things were beginning to unravel a little bit.
Now you're trying to make me get emotional.
Well, it's important. I think it was loving, and it was powerful.
It was really powerful. I have two boys. David is the oldest. Ben is my youngest. And so he had a lot of trouble when he was in the fourth grade. He had a lot of anxiety. He couldn't go to school. And I sat in the back of his classroom when he was in the fourth grade to help him go to school. He matured. He grew out of it. He was doing really well. And the day that I was arrested, he came running down the hallway. It was early in the morning. The FBI basically knocked my door down, shackled me. They did everything they could to embarrass me that day. And I went to prison that day, and I came home. The media was waiting. People were screaming my name, attacking me. And I brought my family together that night, and I said, I don't know what's going on. I didn't really understand at that point what was happening, but I will promise you that your lives will not change. You will go to school where you want to go to school. Your life is going to be your life. You're going to make your own path. You're going to develop your own thing. I promise you, this will not stop you. And I meant it. I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I meant it.
And that's happened with the boys.
And that's happened. Luckily, knock on wood, that's happened. Both my boys have done very well. One is working in New York now. David is graduated from the University of Wisconsin. My other son's graduating from University of Colorado. He's an engineer, and will have a job in Austin starting this fall. But when I asked my children to write something in the book, he wrote, I knew when my dad told me everything would be okay, that it would be okay.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of really neat quotes in there from some great people, but that one really impacted me that day when I read that and put that in the book. And that means a lot to me as a parent. You want to help your children, but I'm really proud of him because now he's forming his own pathway through life, and he's just happy as can be.
Thank you for sharing that. Just as a father, Michael, to share that with your boys during that time, that they needed to hear that from you. And then he felt it, and then that just gave him confidence, knowing, Dad, I know things are going to be okay. And well, thank you. That wasn't on our script. But,
I didn't really want to cry either. I didn't plan on crying.
That's
today.
Okay.
But that's an emotional. Thank you. And today is
March 12th.
March 12th is there's some emotion involved in this today. So when you told me it was March 12th, I took a long.
That's not
breath.
by chance, Michael. punching March 12th in the face today. We're just gonna
Yeah.
we're
All
putting
right.
March 12th behind us here.
Okay.
It's a new March
Well, I
12th.
better, maybe this will be my practice before I present today, not to break down.
No, hey, you're doing great. Hey, well, let's talk a little bit about something else that has come up a little bit, and I know you talk a lot about it in your book. You talked about standards, but you also talk a lot about competing,
Yeah.
just with your players, to your kids, to competing, just on a team, but in life. How do you
Yeah.
develop the grit, the mental toughness to compete, really just to never give up?
Yeah.
You got to compete, and talk a little bit about that, what you've learned through it all, through coaching and just through your life experiences.
Well, I think that another area that you evolve as a coach is you come in and people say you've got to compete. You've got to be a good competitor. And everyone can go out and try hard. You can try hard, I can try hard. But it's to be a great competitor, I really started to watch the best competitors and realize, well, the best competitors are good problem solvers. That goes on the court
Hmm.
and off the court. You get under stress and under duress. Can you take a step back and try to figure out a strategy to help overcome that adversity? The best competitors do things with purpose. There's a reason why they choose to do things or hit that shot or make a decision. And then the most important thing is great competitors have patience. What happens when you get really nervous and you're trying to play and you're trying to compete and you lose your patience? Well, usually things start to go downhill pretty quickly. So I just developed this mindset that one of our standards was we want to be the best competitors in the country. Yeah, we're going to be in great shape, but the other team can be in great shape. But can we do these things better than them?
Hmm.
So in the moment, because oftentimes it comes down to one or two shots, we will be the most competitive team. So that was what we talked about. Not about winning,
Right.
not about anything else. Can we be the most competitive teams? But that comes along with not just trying hard, but doing these other things. And so that's really the way I graded the guys, and that's the way I measured it. And I would tell them that's who's going to play, the ones that I see that are the most competitive and
Yeah.
can handle themselves in that moment the best. And it worked well for us, I think.
Yeah. No, that's good. A lot of the high school kids, their junior tennis, maybe they just get by being the most talented. You
Right.
get to the collegiate level playing where Texas is playing at the best. It has to be talent and a lot of others,
You
but
have to have the other things. Yeah.
developing that other stuff is important. Well, hey, kind of wrapping things up, just looking back on all that's happened in your life, what
Okay.
would you tell the 25-year-old Michael Center looking back with wisdom
Yeah.
and
Well, I think
experience?
I think life is a journey. My wife says to me, she says, "Your next book should be When I Had to Turn Right." I was going this way, and all of a sudden, you had to turn right. And you go through. I don't think I would change that much. The mistake that I made in this situation, and you have to read the book to see all the details. But I I did not. I thought at that point in my life that I could take it on and figure it out myself. Okay, they tore down our tennis courts. They told me they were going to rebuild tennis courts, and then they said, "No, we're not going to rebuild the tennis courts. You need to raise $10 million." Okay, I'll figure it out. I get a call. Can you help this kid get into school? I go to the department, but I should have asked more questions. So the mistake that I would counsel my younger self is make sure when you get in a situation, don't try to do it on your own.
Hmm.
Seek guidance, seek help, whether it's through your minister, your rabbi, your friends, your family. Ask questions and get as much information as you can, and don't feel like you have to do it
Yeah.
yourself. And that was a life lesson that I was a pretty straight guy at Arrow. I didn't really ever have any trouble with anything in my life. And this was obviously something that I never anticipated. But I think that would have saved me in this moment if I had counseled more people on
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. That's good advice, good wisdom, especially, yeah, something a little out of your breath or something new you hadn't experienced before. Don't try to tackle it on your own.
Yeah.
Seek
Seek
some
help.
counsel, seek
Yeah.
help, get others' advice. Well, thank you, Michael. We are
Yeah.
excited to have you today at Leader Exchange.
I'll try to
Uh,
get it together before I go up
hey,
there. I
hey,
apologize for
being open and vulnerable and real will connect, and that hey, it's your story. It's a
yeah.
powerful story. I'm proud of you, what you've come through, what you're doing. Thankful for you being here today. Those of you that are watching, we would recommend check out Michael's book, Break and Serve, From Championship Coach to My Time in Prison, My Journey Back. It's a great story, redemption, getting up off your feet when you're knocked down. The book's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble. You can find it. Uh, Recommend you reading it. I think it can help and encourage you, and you can pass it on to others going through tough times. Thank you.